is this just fantasy? Of course not. Nothing is just fantasy. This is The Hunger in the Dusk. What I recently said was in the top 5. I'm pretty sure it was like number 3 or 2 of my favorite fantasy comics of the past year. And yet I've only covered 3 issues of it. What shame on me. And so I want to talk about this next one. And it's a series I've been really enjoying. It's been taking lots of interesting turns on, you could say, fantasy tropes or tropes of the genre. And the chiefest of them being that they're the Vangal, which is what these things are called, or are what I'm going to say are they're the elves of this universe, and they're this horrific savage race and or just savage people. And it is, I think, just it makes it really interesting. And then we also have our orc kind trying to bond with the humans, and cool scenery like giant skeletons of like a dragon or something. I don't know. Let's just get into it. Chris Wildgoose and G. Willow Wilson rocking it out again. Love this opening shot here of Vangal getting like a spear pulled out of its face. And yeah, it's gory, it's action-packed, you could say, and it's also got some interesting characters. It's got everything you'd want in, I'd say, like a good story, but I just excited that it's all fantasy. And so our orcs and our humans are kind of on the back foot to these Vangal, or they're this invading force, and the humans and the orcs have to work together. And here we have our new couple, our new like leader couple among a group of the orcs, and they're noticing they got dirt on their fingers and under their fingernails, and it means they've been digging. So where have they been digging? Well, we might be finding out this issue. Because the big thing is that the Vangal are constantly surprising them where they are. Like, they'll be in one place and then they'll be prepared for them to come that way, and then suddenly they're behind them and they don't know how they're doing it. And we got lots of little romance in here, even amongst this death and destruction. Again, this book's got everything. It's got a little everything. Our orc on this side of things in the south, Tara, is feeling down because she let one of the humans die in the last issue. And she's a healer, that's why she's with them, and she feels useless, or feels like she's failed them in some way, in protecting them. But they've been through tough times, and they're being pretty understanding, and she seems like she wants to, get closer with them, because that's the whole point of it. But also she may start liking them. Also, just real quick, what a great choice to set, like, okay, they're going to be camped out, but they're like in the bones of, let's just call it like a dragon or something. Just awesome. What a great choice. What a fantastical setting. And it's just this one scene, but I think that just makes it more heightened, more fantasy, and I enjoy that. And just, again, great costuming here, and we're getting the hints of possibly what relationships may be coming soon. He's trying to make her feel better about what happened, and it's clear, like, he wants her to feel better. So, like, we have, like, genuinely good characters, and that's something I also really like about this book, is that we are given characters that we can just like, and they don't have to, I don't know, because it seems like a lot of times in fantasy there's this desire, like, you gotta make them scummy, but, like, with the heart of gold, and it's like, no, you don't. You really don't. Like, that could be what some people like, but I don't know. I'm always going to be hung up on the fact that they're a scumbag. But here he's just keeping her company, and they wake up in the morning and they're a little closer. So it's all shaping up, and it's all very sweet. I don't know. I think it's executed really well. And again, Chris Wildgoose, he's I don't know. He's just got it. He has got it, folks. And but what they've discovered in the night is we have a scout watching them, and they want to catch him. And it's this really cool little sequence here that they catch this motherfucker, and it's like one of the first times that they feel like they have the upper hand on one of these things, and this guy gets hit. He took an arrow to the ankle, and yeah, they have, look at these nasty teeth, this nasty mouth. But every culture, like each culture has like a way that their garb is, and I just love these wild, creepy looking motherfuckers, and they're huge. Look how big this guy is. Of course, they're really dangerous. They're like giant, lanky, just nightmares. And what but they seems to be like a language barrier. They're not sure what they can get out of him. And then she, having needing to make herself seem useful to her group, she dedicates herself to trying to understand him, and she ends up starting to understand that it's like this ancient dialect. So it is related to her, like a language she knows, or their own language. It's just been it's in its archaic form. And so even now we start to see or understand some of the words he speaks. It's really clever. Writing wise, it's really interesting. And it turns like writing a strange language. Starts to make sense of it. Because normally with like a language that a character doesn't understand in like a comic book like this, I would just want there to be like little symbols, just because that's just visually more interesting. Because if we're not going to understand it anyway, might as well do that. But here we get to sound it out, and it seems it's more or less intelligible to us. But basically, what they learn is that they're using old sea forts created by the dwarves, or hidden by the tide, to get inland and to sneak up on them. And that's something that I think is really cool, is that the dwarves built forts, or like pathways from the sea inland, that would be completely hidden at high tide. And I think that's just neat. It's a neat concept. But there is a thing here that I gotta put out here. Is she makes a point of noting that the dwarves are now extinct. So that's the thing in a lot of, or much fantasy. Like, I would even say it even goes back to Tolkien, in that, like, even though yes there are dwarves, like they seem to be dwindling or vanishing because they're not super present. There's no like army of dwarves in the Lord of the Rings. There's just a handful of them around, and then a bunch of dead ones in Moria. And then also like in Skyrim, all the Dwemer, which even though they aren't technically like dwarves, that's what they essentially are. And they have some sort of canon in there where the Dwemer are actually just human sized, which is why all the armor fits human sized people, but it's the giants that called them dwarves. Whatever. And it's just, in Skyrim, it's an excuse to not have to have small people. Like, everybody's just scaled the same size. There's no variance there. It's just one size fits all. From a programming standpoint, I get it. They use lore to back it up. Whatever. That's fine. But why do the dwarves need to be extinct? I mean, it's a choice, but I guess maybe just so there's not so many different fantasy races to balance. I don't know. But anyway, that's just something it's kind of a weird little thing that I've noticed. And I mean, the dwarves in my comic, side questers, are not extinct. They are alive. When in fact, you should find this at my website and buy it. This is the first 8 issues of my comic side questers, printed up in this great volume. And if you like this fantasy, you would love side questers. But anyway, back to this book. See, I'm clever. I can do that. So here we have we're back in the north, and we're getting lots of romance between these two, and it's just cool because apparently they weren't sure if they would be a good match, but it seems like they are. And but they're getting the word that Tara learned about the dwarven title trick, the forts, and I think it's really neat that they're immediately telling them, and they're strengthening the bond between the orcs and the humans, because that's the whole point. And it's just solid story stuff, solid art. What more do you need in a comic, in a fantasy story, in any of it? It really works. But then they decide where they're going to let him go, but they're going to follow him because they want to just see if they can learn more from this guy. And yeah, they're off. And this cool little group we got here. And anyway, that is our fabulous issue 3. So, what did you think? Because I love it. Lord of the Sky Dwellers. Interesting. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of this book, and I think more people should read it. And yeah, if you're a D&D fan, if you're a fantasy fan, a Lord of the Rings fan, just a Witcher fan, if you're just a comic fan, pick it up. I really think it is just continuously just doing great character stuff, great story stuff, and I really love the art and just the world building. World building is so special and important to me when it comes to fantasy, that when people do it really well, when they think about it and do it in a thoughtful way, I'm gonna love it. So yeah, that Hunger in the Dusk, number 3. Continuously being something that I am looking forward to every month. So I'd say find your copies of the back issues, get yourself caught up, and join in on the fun, because I really enjoy this book.